You're like, oh.
But I'm standing on the border of the carrot. Stream for 8 years, you stop carrot.
Oh my. On the bottom. I can't call it. Now I don't get it.
True.
Digimon World games are about the journey, They give you the come along. Solutions are determined by care mistakes, stats, and a pinch of luck. At the start, your stats are low, so getting resources is a bit of a struggle, making care mistakes more likely. Which leads us to my first tip. Relax. Hard. You're not going to get the evolutions that you might be looking for. The quicker you accept this, the quicker you can begin appreciating this game. At the start, there's a lot of tedious or manual tasks, and the way to reverse this is by recruiting Digimon. The thing about World Games is early game is probably the most important part. The quicker you recruit certain Digimon to help, the faster you're able to obtain or do certain things. And from there, the game is going to get a lot smoother. So let's go over the most important Digimon to recruit at the start of the game. My boy Patamon, honestly, you don't have a choice. He's going to be the first one. Now with Tentomon, you actually have the ability to finesse him. He lets you pick your price for how much you want to buy those recovery items for. But until you pay him at least 100 bit, he will not come to the city. So you have the opportunity to get some recovery discs for the low. Use this tip wisely. Palmon is very key. You gonna need some more meat. Pause. So tip number 2, salty fruit randomly spawns basically anywhere in Nye Plains. It could even be right out front the city, but it might take a couple days to appear. So remember our first tip, relax. Something to keep in mind, as Digimon age, they poop less and less, and megas don't actually take shits. It's kind of weird. Early game, this free toilet might save your ass. Honestly, you actually don't need Vmon early game, but you're gonna need him to beat the game. And by the middle of the game, you're probably gonna get stuck without him. So do yourself a favor and just get my man's ASAP. So the last 2 Digimon I want to mention are a little bit towards the middle of the game, but they're very, very important. I'll explain more, but for now, let's just go through who they are. At the cost of an arm and a leg, you can fast track. So Bergermon and Cubimon are kind of a package deal. That might not make sense, but once you get to that part in the game, you'll understand. Now, Grappleomon is the single most important Digimon to recruit. You're probably not gonna be able to get him until like 10 plus hours into the game, but he should basically be your North Star. Like when you start the game, all you should be thinking about is, I'm trying to get Grappleomon. This Chad is gonna make this game 10 times more fun, I promise. All right. Let's recap. If you'd like to avoid drowning from the 3 Ds of Digimon World, those being debt, death, and diarrhea, right? You should recruit Tentomon, Palmon, and Numemon. These Digimon are very easy to obtain with your first generation, so act quick. Like I said earlier, Bergermon, Cubimon, they're a package deal, and they're gonna happen probably after your first generation. Grappleomon, bro, you might get them on a second, but more likely 3 or 4. It's really based on how well you're training your Digimon. But if you pay attention to this tutorial, you should be in good shape. Now don't get me wrong, there are tons of other Digimon to recruit, over 100, and a lot of them are going to be very helpful on this journey. But the ones I've labeled are the most impactful, especially at the start. The faster you recruit these Digimon, the smoother your playthrough can be. But recruiting is only one side of the coin, ladies and gentlemen. To recruit some of these guys, you're going to need to fight, which leads us to the next important part of Digimon World games, training. Now, training in Digimon World Next Order is basically 60% of what you'll be doing the entire game. And if you train incorrectly, you could also literally mess up your Digimon. But this guide is meant to prevent y'all from doing that, because that's what I did. So let's cut to the chase. The gym is only meant for early stage training. Honestly, it's more useful to be a time killer than anything. You're going to get like 2 times the experience when you train on wild Digimon versus staying in the training hall. And not only that, live battles pause in-game time versus the training hall takes an hour of your day. So now we're getting double the experience while it's not taking any time. And no matter how much you upgrade your training hall, live battles will always be better. Different areas of the game have different Digimon and they're scaled accordingly, meaning there's going to be a few key spots for your Digimon at specific stages. And as Digimon die and are reborn, your base stats will gradually increase. Evolutions also give a boost in stats, while Mega Evolutions give the least amount of stat increase. Point being, as you progress, your rookie Digimon might be as strong as an early game ultimate that you had. So, the question stands. Where should you train? So starting out, you're pretty weak, and despite what I just told you, the training hall is not a bad option at this stage. Just don't abuse it. Your main task is exploring the area and trying to recruit Digimon. So in the open world, the Digimon's name tags have different colors depending on how hard the fight is going to be. Looking at the levels, they're a bit confusing, so going off the color is going to be your best bet. Blue means it'll be an easy match. White means it's not impossible to win, but it's definitely going to be a challenge. And red basically says you're going to die. Understanding what to kill is the key to training, because not everything gives good experience. Also, the stage of your Digimon matters. Rookies, for example, are going to get more experience than champions in some of these spots that I'm talking about. Honestly, just use what I say as a suggestion. Exploring and trying new fights isn't a bad thing, just be careful not to die. If we break it down, you should honestly spend about half of your day in the training hall, and then the rest outside exploring the 9 planes. Each sub area is going to scale in difficulty slightly. So as a guideline, the forest path is the first level, power plant number 2 gets a bit harder, and the old cableway has the strongest enemies around. Now mind you, the difficulty spike is not very steep at all. When your stats reach that average of 550 across the board, everywhere in 9 planes should be manageable. And at this point, you're probably beginning to find your footing as a tamer. Key spots to grind are going to start opening at this point, and utilizing them early is going to yield juicy results. So the first major grind spot is going to be in Server Desert, specifically in Hollowed Hall. At the end of the area, there's a notorious Garurumon Black, who's essentially guarding the path to Logic Volcano. This is one of the best training spots because of how easy it is to have Garurumon Blacks respawn reset. So once your stat gains begin to decrease, you can move over to Step and fight the Psychmon during the day or the Garurumon during the night. Once you hit that 1000 range, the Garurumon Black at the top of Step level 21 might be a good place to grind. Now he's gonna be really strong, and there's 2 of them, and if they both attack you, you might die. But at this level, he gives one of the best stat gains. I see fighting him as like an investment. Explore all the areas prior to this place, picking up everything, then you can ultimately sell it, and use that money to buy recovery and MP items. From there, you can begin grinding this Garurumon Black and getting those massive stat gains. Honestly, the same can be said for the Garurumon Black in Hollowed Hall. Fighting him at that 550-600 average is not going to be easy, but the gains you get are going to be worth it. Remember, at this early stage of the game, you should be mixing in gym training and this live battle training. The goal for your first generation of Digimon is to get as high of an evolution stage as possible while keeping your stats at a good level. And it's a good idea to use a gym because it can be improved a bit, right? Guess it won't ever match live battles, but it can be helpful. We'll talk more about that in the next section. So at this point, you're probably 15 plus hours in. The game starts to really drastically change as the generations go up. So I don't want to get into too much depth, but what I'll do is mention some noteworthy spots that I trained as I was progressing and getting stronger when I originally played this game. Out in Mod Cape, in the Inlet Cape, those Saberdramon are good kickoff targets. And then a very popular spot is Mod Ship 3.0 with the level 29 Seadramon. So at this point, you should be able to do a lot. If you're in need of some money, Boney Resort has this one section where Wizardmon spawns. Not only does he give you a lot of money from simply killing him, there's items in this room that can be sold for a lot of money. So even after he doesn't give you any more experience, you can still grind him for money in general. And so at this point, you should be really strong, and we're like 30, 40, 50 hours into the game. Over in Logic Volcano, there's a lot of differing levels of Meteormons that are actually decent training spots. Personally though, I didn't fight any of them except the level 12 Meteormon out in the gateway. There was a large portion of my gameplay where I literally only grinded on him. Pause. Once you're really late into the game, Faulty X Machina, I think that's how you say it, Control Island has War Growlmon oranges. These bad boys are very good training spots. And last but not least, the basically best place to train, like once you're in endgame, is going to be Boney Resort again, but this time all the way back in the Night Church. There's a worker room on Black there, and not only does he give you really good experience, he also gives you a lot of money as well. By the time worker room on Black is easy for you, you're in a good spot, and you're probably in endgame. You can check out some other guides for some additional spots, but I'm labeling out the ones that I used. So, moving on. Tamer skills are probably the third or first or second most important area of the game. They are very broad and there's a lot and it's very easy to get flustered. So let's break down what's super important early game and why. If you ask me, a professional, the most important skill is defense order. This skill allows you to control when your Digimon block and can be the sole reason you do not die. Personally, I would then recommend the next skill, high defense, as it makes the damage you block do literally 1 damage no matter who is attacking you. There's gonna be times where your Digimon lives are a little bit unbalanced, where you have a Mega and a Rookie. And so with this skill, you can comfortably carry that Rookie Digimon. Enemies focus on the weaker Digimon, so this is a very, very helpful skill. Honestly, after that, it's pretty subjective. I would recommend you use your discretion based on how you're playing, right? But you can take my suggestions into consideration as well. All right, so like I said, defense order is probably one of the best skills to get like immediately. It doesn't feel like it, but whenever you're finding yourself needing to block, I'm telling you, you're gonna thank me. Getting high defense, definitely optional though, right? It's really up to you. That 1 damage is extremely helpful whenever your Digimon get real lopsided, like I said, Mega and a Rookie or something like that, or even if it is just Ultimate and a Champion, it still becomes helpful because enemy Digimon focus on the weaker Digimon. Honestly, snagging second order would be pretty helpful up front because whenever the more moves you have on your partners, they actually attack more frequently. So even if you only have 1 skill, I could just double up on electric shoot. I guess it would be on Wind Cutter, and it just means that he's gonna attack more frequently. So it's fine. So moving away from Commander, we'll just walk through each of these, and I'm gonna label out the most important ones that I feel like, and you can consider, and I'll give my reasoning as to why. So when it comes to the life type, these are really good to pair with reverse type. So as you can see, life type says life gain from Digivolution increases and then increase natural life. So you kind of have 2 options here. You can either get these extremely early so that your first generation can live longer, meaning you have more chances, more time to increase your stats. But like we just talked about,
in real life, no shot.
There's no way. How many?
No matter the gender.
There's
yeah,
no
but the
way.
issue is that like 98%. Well, what do you mean? Of course that's true. We should just.
Wait,
hold on, okay, wait. This is super clear. This is super easy. Okay, sex and gender are 2 different things.
It's incredibly racist, since it normally means
Racist?
that people. Hold up, let me finish. Let me finish. Since it normally means that those who are financially disadvantaged have the least amount of access to some of these treatments and some of these things that would help you pass. Meaning that it would overwhelmingly be POC, people of color.
They can stay at whatever prison they were born in.
Here's the thing. So Destiny, I'm curious because I recently saw some articles coming out of Scotland that I thought were really interesting. And I want to ask you, this is your favorite topic, the trans topic.
She chose me? No! Oh, fuck. Oh, come on, baby, let's do.
I want to ask you, do you feel as though trans women should have access to women's spaces and it should be normalized?
Probably not.
No?
No.
Why?
Well, wait, hold on. When we say women's spaces, what do we mean?
Be it restrooms, change rooms, sports rooms,
sorry,
whatever
I
it
was
might be.
I was thinking like fucking college sports. I'm sorry. I think at that point it depends on how much the person passes. I think like 95% of trans women will be able to assert themselves appropriately. If you're getting
How much they pass? What do you mean by that?
Like if you like Blair White is not going to be going into a boys' bathroom ever, and she probably shouldn't be, right?
So you think we should acknowledge their transness based off how much effort they've put into looking like the stereotype of a woman?
A little bit, yeah.
Ooh.